We're going to take our first look at some basic and elementary statistics, looking at center, spread, and shape of distributions. We refer to center and spread under a category we call summary statistics because they give a summary of how the data is distributed and where it's distributed. Center refers to typical values of the data set. Our most common measures of center are mean, median, and mode. Spread describes the variation of the data set. Common measurements include range and standard deviation, but there are others that are also frequently used. We're going to start with our measures of center. The mean, also referred to as the average of the data set, is found by taking the sum of all the values in the data set, we add them all up, and divide it by n, the number of values in the data set. This notation right here is the summation notation. This Greek letter sigma, it's a capital sigma, represents sum of, add up. And then x is each and every data point in our data set. And then n is a common notation to represent the number of values in a certain list or data set. Median represents the middle value when data is ordered from least to greatest. If the number of values is odd, the median will be the middle value. However, if the number of values is even, then we're going to have two middle numbers. So we'll take the average of those two middle values. When we have large data sets, finding the median can be a little bit more tricky. And so we have this little formula that allows us to find where our median will be located in a large data set. And that's where we take the number of data points that we have, we add 1, and then we divide by 2. We're essentially taking the average of the number of data points that we have. And that'll give us the location of the median value and tell us what place to look in. But again, that's only useful really if we have very large data sets. Mode is a value that appears most frequently in the data set. A data set can have no mode if all the data values appear the same number of times, or if there's multiple data values that appear more than one time in the same frequency. We can, if we do have more than one mode, we'll usually accept a data set that is bimodal. It can be important to identify a data set that has two modes. But if we go beyond two modes, we just essentially say that there is no mode because it's not a useful measure of center. So let's take a look at a few examples where we find measures of center with the mean, median, mode for different types of data sets. So we have the values, the data set 2, 5, 6, 7, and 10. And we want to find the mean. Okay, so we have this symbol mu, which represents mean. And so the mean is calculated by adding up all the data points and dividing it by the number of data points. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data points. So when we take the sum of all our data points and divide it by 5, we get a mean of 6. So our mean, 6. Then we want to take a look at our median. Okay, our median value is the middle. Well, our median is, our data set's already in order, so the median is going to be in the middle. And so let's kind of look at how we could use the median value location if we needed to. For the median location, we have 5 data points in our data set. If we add 1 and divide by 2, because that's our value for n, add 1, divide by 2, we get 3. So our median is located as the third data point. Well, this is our first data point, this is our second data point, this is our third data point, so our median is also 6. Now, because this is a small data set, we don't really have to use the median locator. We can just visualize, and if we count from the outside in, we see that 6 is our middle number. Now we're going to look at mode. Mode, the number that appears the most. Well, 2 only shows up once, 5 only shows up once, same with 6, 7, and 10. So in this case, we have no mode. There is no mode. Let's go ahead and look at example B. So to find our mean, take the sum of our values. If I could draw mu, there we go. We'll take the sum of our values And we've got 9 plus 7 plus 12 plus 5 plus 9. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data points again, and we get a mean of 8.4. So we have a mean of 8.4. Now let's look at median. Okay, so median, again, we have 5 data points, so our median value would be the middle number at 3 at the third data point. However, these data values aren't in order, so we need to order them. 5, 7, 9, 9, and 12. So our middle value is the number 9. Our median is 9. And then our mode, we're looking for our most common number. Mode. All right, the most common value for the mode, well, 9 is the only number that shows up more than once. It shows up twice. So our mode is 9. Go ahead and I encourage you to pause here and see if you can evaluate and find the mean, median, mode for these next two data sets by using the same method that we did above. Here for data set C, when we add up all our data values and divide by 6, which is the number of data values we have, we get 37 over 6, which is approximately 6.2. Now, because we have an even number of data values, we have two numbers in the middle, 6 and 7. So the median will be the average of 6 and 7, which is 6.5. And the number 7 is the only one that shows up more than once, coming in at 2 times. And so we have a mode of 7. Go ahead and give this last one a try if you haven't yet. This one ends up, quite interestingly, giving us the same value for the mean, the median, and the mode. And we see that's the case because we have a lot of values, or we have a lot of 3's that are repeated in our data set, and that's going to give us our centers more closely together. Now let's take a look at if we're given data sets in a different representation. Here we have a table of values. A teacher asked 12 students how many pets they owned, and the results are shown in the table. So here we have pets owned and the number of students. Well, we need to think very carefully about how we use these values to calculate mean, median, and mode. Okay? The pets owned, the number of pets owned, the teacher asked 12 students how many pets they own, are our data values. Data values. Well, the number of students with those data values are just a count of how many times those data values show up. So we have to remember that n is 12. We have 12 data values. And so all of these added up, 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 equals 12, our n size. We could think of this as a list of data points where I have 0 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. I also have the number 1 3 times, 1, 2, 3. I have the number 2 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and the number 3 twice. So I have this data set. And we could use this in order to find the mean, median, and mode. But if we have a very large data set listed as a table called a frequency distribution, then there's a better and faster way to find the mean, the median, and the mode without having to list out everything that's here. So let's take a look without using this list. First, we want to find the mean. The mean, again, is the sum of all the data values. So these are my data values. If I have 0 4 times, the sum of all my zeros is 0 times 4, which equals 0. Then I have 1 3 times. The sum of all of my 1's is 1 times 3, which equals 3. I have 2 3 times. The sum of all my 2's is 2 times 3, which equals 6. And I have 3 twice. The sum of all my 3's is 3 times 2 to give me 6. So the sum of all my data values is the sum of each data value times its frequency. And then when I add those all up, I get a sum of 15. So to get my mean, I take the sum of my data values, divided by n. The sum of my data values was 15, and my n is 12. So when I divide those, we get a mean of 1.25. Now let's take a look at median. This is where our locator value formula is going to come really in handy. So we're going to say, okay, well, we have 12 data points. If we add 1 and divide by 2, we get 13 divided by 2, which is 6.5. So we're going to have two data values in the middle, 6 and 7. Those are the middle data points. Okay, so we need to find out which data points are in the middle. So we go through and say, okay, well, my first 4 data points are here. So that's data point the first, the second, the third, and the fourth. And then the next 3 data points, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh, are in this next category. And so since I'm looking for the sixth and the seventh data point, that's both ones. So I have 1 and 1. So since 1 and 1 are the same number, the average of 1 and 1 is 1. So our median, I don't know why I wrote mean back here, median, our median is 1. So we have our mean of 1.25, our median of 1, and now we just need to find the mode. Mode is really easy in a frequency distribution. We just want to look for whichever category has the highest count. Which of these is the largest number? 4. Well, the data point that shows up 4 times is 0, so my mode is 0. And that's how we can use a frequency distribution in order to identify mean, median, and mode. Next, we're going to look at another table. It shows the items that Stevie bought from a garage sale and their prices. Well, we have some interesting data here. Right? We've got the items that he purchased and the price that each of those things was purchased at. And so we need to think about this really carefully as far as finding mean, median, and mode. Here we have what's called categorical data, where it's categories. It's a list of things. It's names of stuff. When we have categorical data, we can't find the mean or the median because those are mathematical computations. We can, however, find the mode of categorical data if he bought more than one of any given item. Say, for example, he bought 2 salad bowls or 3 salad bowls. We could find the mode and list it as that item. The mode would be salad bowls. Or if he bought 5 hoodies, the mode would be hoodies. Okay? So we cannot find the mean or the median in categorical data. And in this column, we have numerical data. Numerical data is quantitative. We can count it. It's the price in dollars. And some of these items cost the same amount. And so we have a data set where something cost $2 and then something else cost $3. We had 3 items that cost $5. We had a $7 item and a $15 item. Okay, so we have a data set that talks about numerical data and categorical data. When we have a data set that has multiple data types in it, we call this bivariate data. Bivariate data. It's got 2 variables in the data. So every single data point is an item name and a price, an item name and a price, bivariate data. We can only find measure to center when we have numerical data with the exception of mode on categorical data. So given this list of values, we can find mean, median, and mode. We get the sum of all of our data values and divide it by the number of data values, which in this case is 7, we get a mean of 6. Our middle number here is a 5, so there's our median of 5. And our mode, the thing that, or the price that showed up more than once, is 5 for our mode. And then that's a very basic introduction to mean, median, and mode. However, a lot of SAT style questions won't be focused so much on finding these values, but more on comparing these values with different data sets and making interpretations on that.